Good morning, everybody. Say yes. Session 4 coming up. Just about 5 minutes or so. Let's go. Alright. Just a couple more minutes. Let some people join in. Alright, good morning. Let's get some energy going. 1 hour. Session 4. You know what it is. Pastry Chef Expansion Challenge. Let's go. Who's loving this music? Alright, welcome. Hope you got pencil and paper and you guys are ready to do it. I'm ready, and here we are. Some people just joining in now, and others around the world will catch the replay. So awesome. Great job so far. You guys, it's amazing. 1 month has passed, and if you consider what's been done, I sat back last night after dinner and was searching through my social and saw everybody from the group posting like crazy, different things, trying out different channels, working on all the things we talked about last week, working on all the way that we introduce ourselves to the world, working on how we fine-tune things, how we present, cleaning it all up, making it look great. It was awesome, you guys. Just great to see, and across the board, just a great job. So congratulations. Today we're going to get into a little bit more of the video, the NLE, or the non-linear editing. And really, like we talked about, HitFilm is an idea. Adobe has great software. iPhone has its own software. You have many things on Android. Doesn't really matter what you use at the end of the day. The principles are the same, and we'll look at all of that. And I'll show you, actually decided to have a sneak peek into my process and what we do here to create the videos. and kind of construct some things. And I know there'll be lots of questions. It's a huge subject. The good news is there's a lot of resource out there, and I can only also point you in that direction. So before we get started with all that, let's take a look at session 4, what we'll cover today. Ninja promotions. We're going to sneak up on people and make them buy our goods and services without them even knowing, because we're artisans, yes, but we also are sellers, and sometimes we forget how effective we can be at selling. Campaigns, how to launch. We're almost there. Everybody's got their grid. We'll look at the grid today, and if you've already started, fantastic. Otherwise, we'll plan our dates and have a little video know-how after today, and we'll go. Services, value added. Whether we have our own business or work for someone else, adding value is really the name of the game when someone's deciding whether to go with your good and service or another chef. And there's lots of places we can go to get some of the things we make, cakes, bonbons, or some of the services we provide, connecting businesses with those sweet things that we make. And in commerce, just a little talk about transaction and how to monetize. And then a lot of homework this week as we sadly, wrap up. Next week is the last week, session 5, where we kind of have an overview and put it all together and talk a little bit about health and wellness, some things that are super important, because if we get all this put together, it takes a lot of time and energy, and at the end of the day we can't really show up and facilitate because we're tired. It's understandable to be tired. We'll talk about some ways to maintain a higher level of health and wellness so we can get there with energy and enjoy the process and enjoy the result as well. So with that, we'll get started with ninja promotion. Here's a little ninja lady ready to kick some butt, ready to understand how we sneak up and sell. So I know a lot of pastry chefs personally who don't like to sell. And really, a lot of people in general don't like to sell. And why is that? Why don't we like to sell? Sometimes we don't like the way that we're sold to. Often, as a pastry chef, let's take a chef example. People come without any appointment. People come, and everyone wants to sell something. And if you don't own the business, and especially if you own the business, but if you don't own the business, you're really the caretaker of someone else's finances. So you're very powerful as a purchaser. You're a very powerful decision maker, and you're the customer of many, many, many groups. So the more you can focus on that power you have as a customer, sometimes that line gets blurry a little bit, but you're always being sold to, and the way that you're being sold to, sometimes it disrespects what we do. And other times, we know a lot of great people in pastry that are not chefs that sell, or maybe they used to be a chef, or kind of 50-50. They know a little bit about the chef language. They know what we need. And what I always say, it's kind of funny, and no one ever disagrees with me, is that chefs are the worst customer to have. I say this to the salespeople all the time. I go, well, the problem is the chefs are a terrible customer to have. And everyone's like, yeah, they're so difficult. I'm like, well, thank you. That's me too. But what makes us difficult customers to have? We're very particular. We need specific things in a specific way, a specific quality, and we often don't want what other pastry chefs in our community are, those products that they're using, because we want to differentiate all the time. And often our businesses as well, they really need us to differentiate, so you're not selling the same cookies and desserts and pastries and cakes that you could get literally next door or across the street. And that's the case in Chicago. There's so many people doing a lot of the same things, so why go to your business and not your business? So it's really important. So back to selling, what really, pastry chefs aren't the worst customer. Everybody's the same. Everyone's suspicious, wants a good deal, and values quality. So if we work on relationships, and we can kind of think about a lot of the relationship building we talked about in terms of social media channels, creating platforms, that platform we're creating is you, right? That's your brand. And that ability to use the platform to tell stories and build relationships before selling is much more effective. And then often the selling is just the byproduct, right? It should be the byproduct of a situation where someone now understands who you are as a chef, what you do, and how you can serve them. And that's the main thing. Sales is service. Come to really bring my attention to that detail. We're really serving our customers something. And like I told you early on, if I had this great product, but I didn't tell you about it, I'm doing you a disservice by not letting you know what a fantastic chocolate bar I'm going to sell you and how important it is that you try it. It seems silly, but those things change people's lives, and we build into our day those little moments of reward and decadence, and that's literally our business, to make people happy. So 4 principles of the ninja promotion and sales: personal mastery. When you get better, your business gets better. Well, Pastry Chef Expansion Challenge is personal mastery. So congratulations, number 1, check. Number 2, stop selling and create the value. And that's exactly what we're talking about. Create the value by storytelling. Create the value by relationships that are strong. Create the value by referring people to someone that does something they wanted that you might be able to do, not really in the game of, referring them to somebody else without any strings attached, just knowing that it's the right thing to do. And again, you're serving them. Business strategy. Focus on the people in your network. This is exactly what we were doing when we refreshed our LinkedIn, started to direct message people, started to come forward with clarity in what we're trying to do for our business. So some of the conversations we've had, if we're working for someone else, we become unclear that our brand is not the brand of those who hired us. We're there to serve that brand, but you also have your own platform, which is your brand. So it gets a little tricky when you have to manage it, but we've all been there, and it isn't something that you should take for granted, because as soon as there's no need for you to be in a business, they'll move on, and so will you. So what you need to take with it is your platform. I hope that makes sense. 4, connect and communicate. So it's all about them, and just become a really, really good listener. Super important. We think we listen, but often, we don't. We tell people stories about ourselves. We go ahead and we listen and go, yeah, but what I really want to do is give you this brochure, product. So really listen, and maybe build up some appointments where you're literally just listening, just having a social visit, and leave with not much, or just leave with the plan to talk again and build up that channel. Works a lot better, kind of makes sales fun, and it makes you feel like you're not selling. So I'm not a great salesperson personally, but I know pastry, desserts, what I can offer that's have value, and those things are easy for me to introduce to somebody. So moving ahead, looking at our campaigns, here is my mini campaign to launch. You can look at it, it's a story, and I'm really focusing on these virtual classes. I'm going to do another round based on the success and reception of this one. So then we'll have 3 days where I'll tell people about the next classes and some other classes as well. And you can see I tried to spread it out a little bit. So we've got a little bit of Instagram in here. We've got some tweeting going on. Back to Instagram, a little Facebook Live, planned live, so I can do a little video. And then, short videos here, a nice call to action, and the call to action, some questions or some referrals. We talked about that. So to clarify the call to action, and it can be multi-layered, but we really need to instigate a response. So having, like, we talked about a little bit on YouTube, people say over and over again, hey, don't forget to like, hit that bell, follow, subscribe, all those things. Those are what we want people to do, but what's going to really think about ourselves when we're reading posts or looking at something someone else has put out there. It is a poll or a question or something that's engaging that makes us want to like something, and even more so comment or share. Just being told to share, I feel like there's that resistance built up now. Share. Why should I share? This is your thing to broadcast, but I share it if it strikes a chord with me, and I think also it's something other people should know. So not being told to share, just wanting to share, having the information told in a way that makes me want to share with other people. And we get a little bit into the video, and I hope everyone's got their campaign all fleshed out like this, ready to go. If there's anything else last minute, and I would say don't make changes. This is the plan, and work on just executing that plan. And drinking a little coffee. All right, so a little bit on editing, because we're going to also go into the video editor after this, and you can kind of see here. I'm going to bring up our video editor, and you can see here Premiere Pro. Okay, so introduction to video editing. Everyone's at a different place always in the things that they know how to do. Video seems to be a frontier that we can all now hit video and go live. Sort of the benefit of that live option is exciting, and people feel like they're there with you, but also there's not a lot of editing and things that you need to do. You could edit a video, come back later, and then post it. It's not quite live, but it was recorded live, might have some of that same feel. Here is our video editor, our Adobe video editor, and I have posted here my video from the Pastry Summit. Maybe some of you have caught that one. You can see a lot of the elements here will be the same on your video editor. So again, HitFilm didn't work on everybody's platforms on their computer. If you can't run those, you want to work in your phone. Many people work in their phone and post videos to YouTube and sell that way. Perfectly fine. We're going to look at some of the elements here. I'm going to open it up so you can see it a little bit better. And into this full screen look. So there's a lot, and that's the number one thing we hear when we're training people on video is, wow, there's so many boxes, I don't even know where to get started. So let's forget about that for now and look at the elements of something that's already been constructed. And we'll kind of work back from there and then try to construct something from a blank timeline here. So you see at the bottom, here's the timeline. We can kind of, what we call scrub through it, is just kind of look through it. I'm going to play that out. So this was simply a fast way for me to make this video without doing an animated intro. I pulled in this photo taken recently here in Chicago. And I thought, okay, well, that kind of sends the message. We're going to do some dessert time, conversation, and then here comes the video in. So over here to the left, we've got our media browser. So the media browser are all the elements that we're going to use. So you're going to load in your video into your browser, and you do that by, opening up. And it's on imports. So it's always going to be importing. If you can see that, we'll say import, and then we'll look into where those files are located, and then Alright. Should be back. Apologize for that. This is basically what we call resource heavy working in the video field. So crashes rarely happen to us when you have a lot of things open, though that can happen. So it's something to keep in mind. I've kind of minimized what I'm going to show here and try to jump back into it and see if we can get back to where we left off. So without crashing, if it crashes again, just hold tight and we will get it back up and running. Okay, so we're back in our nonlinear editing. So basically nonlinear, we're taking a composite of all these cool parts and things that we have and trying to reconfigure them in a way that we think makes sense to tell a better story. So if we look at our elements over here in the media browser, I think that's what we were looking at last, you'll see some of the things that I've pulled in to make this video. And basically, when we import those things, this is what we were doing. I'm not going to grab anything at the moment. For this, there's a lot going on. But we can see there's a lot of things we could grab and add to our video. Here's a nice video of Buckingham Fountain that we could add in, and we'll get to that in a second. So we talked about our timeline here. We have this still. Now we're at the end of the piece. At the bottom of the timeline is a bar that allows us to go from beginning to end and look at the building blocks here. Everything is that you see in different colors and lines. Those blocks are all our different segments of things that we're assembling and how we're cutting and putting them together. Below is the audio line. You can actually see some of the waves of the audio up and down. And then above it, is all the video, and then also these, what we call adjustment layers. So basically a filter on top. But that filter in a powerful nonlinear editor, or even a simple nonlinear editor, could be several different things. It could be overlays that put in a title like here, or we could do another layer of look after another layer of look that we pull on and off. So it's very good to look at the adjustment layer as a later step of finishing and not try to add here in our video, actual video, too much of the adjustments for brightness and color correction. Color correction simply refers to the process of making things look better. So that also involves things that aren't technically color. Could be shadowing, could be grading some of the gray areas, kind of really adjusting that image, manipulating it in any way that you can. Back to that little bar at the bottom, if we pull it all the way out, we can see, and this is a relatively short video, you see in the timeline it's about 13 minutes total. And down here the timeline is also tracked. But you can see this is the whole video. All the pieces and parts, anything that's locked gets shaded. Lock some of the audio. And audio is an interesting aspect that we talked about earlier in terms of our posting. But in terms of really bringing in good quality audio, all of this audio was recorded when I recorded this part here where I'm talking. And leave my mouth open. Okay, there you go. No bugs flying in there. So here I am in my office. You can see, set up a camera and facing, and down here is the audio for that. So if I play, musicians need notes to compose. All right, musicians need notes to compose. So true, right? And we need pastries. So down here, I matched a separate recording in a Zoom audio recorder. So a Zoom audio recorder or other recorders can have a microphone, have a higher quality sound that you can sync up later. And that's exactly what we did here. So if I mute out these recipes, these different vocals, so there's nothing. Then here's the original, kind of muted. I'll play that again so we can get a clear example.
Because you need a firm grip on the rudiments to create.
and then I'll blend in the higher
One of the
quality.
things I love about plated dessert is it will take all of your skill as a pastry chef.
You need mastery of skill in several areas
all
to
together
make and execute
really
all the
good.
elements that will comprise your dessert.
So I left the old original track at a low level and then put in there at a much more refined sound quality this here track. So now we're playing it.
Musicians need notes to
Sounds so much better. If I had just gone with the original tracks,
These recipes are
sounds like I recorded in my office, right? Which I did, of course. So here we go back to the video part of it. All these little blocks, and we talked a little bit about easy ways to get into an interesting video. This is a perfect example. You've got one video that I just cut pretty much in one take, and I did like three takes in a row. 1, 2, 3. I picked the best one. And if I really got in a pinch, I could take the intro or the outro from one of the takes and combine it. But pretty much it's the same, and this was one take. And then I wanted to bring in images, but without bringing in more video and shooting more video, I decided to go with some stills from different points in my career to kind of match what I was talking about. So a good example is here in the beginning. Each of these is a different still brought in from here on the media browser. So you can load up all of your work in a file, and then when you need to bring it into different videos, bring it in, and here they just drop at different times. So I'll play that section. You can see here's the spine of it where I'm talking, and then we're going to come up in here. Now that timeline bar at the bottom, we were looking at the whole piece, but if I want to expand it and really show you guys what that section looks like, that's that section here. And when we're getting into clipping and editing, you can start to look at it at a real micro level, see what's going on. Same point in the video. Here's the stills that we're going to drop. And one video overlay there with the still, and then one on the other side. And then if you scrub through, you see there it comes in. So 1, 2, 3. And I'll throw the audio back on. You can see where we
discuss my process for creating exceptional plated dessert. To me,
Dropped in
plated
one.
dessert
Here
is
I'm
the culmination of all the
talking about
flavors,
plating.
skills, styles, and
Here's some
intricacies
skill
of
and
our
style.
profession. Yes, true, I'm also a baker that makes
And then the
liver muffins,
facts.
scones, croissants,
We
and
make
wings.
scones
And I decorated
cookies.
thousands of
And
cakes and
there's the
hundreds
wedding
of
cakes.
cakes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a really good visual example of what's going on there. So I hope some of that makes sense. This is what the finish looks like. But really when we're assembling and cutting, you'll want to look at more of the screen. Usually I will edit it on two screens, and therefore you can kind of see what you're working on much easier, as well as where something comes from and then where it's going to. So I'm going to get out of this a little bit, and we're going to try to do some construction just so you get an introduction to what that is. And so for that, and hopefully we don't crash, let's see what happens. We're going to say new project. All right, new project. We're going to name it Pastry Chef Expansion Challenge for sample. All right. And then let's bring this back up a little bit for you guys to see everything. Okay. And it's like I already had one that I was working on. Get something else going on the timeline. Same media browser. I have some other clips in here we might be able to bring in. We can see a lot of the stills are here that we use for that video. And then that browser. And then we see that we were talking about earlier. Bring that into the timeline. Here we can reset and say, see all panels. You can see what else there is to work on. Here's some of our graphic titling and programming. And then here's what we just brought in. And there is on the timeline. So this would be your blank timeline. You just brought in one thing. A asset with the fountain, and go over to effect controls, because obviously can't really see that. You see there's a little box here. Let's zoom in again. That's just a JPEG. We bring up by clicking on that little box. Here's all the effects controls to control this still. I have a video of it somewhere. If we see that, we'll grab it. Here we'll work with that still, like I did, drop those dessert pictures on the other timeline. So the position moves the image left and right, and up and down, so that would be the X and Y axis. And the scaling, we'll bring it so we can actually see it in real time. And this is where our conversation from last week on high quality JPEGs and TIFF images, if you want to put it in a video like this, really need to be a very high quality, high res image. Okay. And some of the things in here we won't get all into, but opacity. And then just to note, all these different attributes can be animated. So we could start it here and kind of come in by placing points on the line in here where it's small at this point. And then we make a point there. And then we go to the point of the video where we want it to be. And then we scale it back up. So that's one way. And then let's look at some video to bring in. There's no source clips here. Here's our audio mixer. If we have some audio there, you can see it. This is little drop down. And you see how many layers of things there are to keep track of. Here's the audio track that we had. And then I have that kind of hidden here on the other side. You can pull up some audio there and see all the images when it goes. Hopping up and down. And then here's our little blip that we're working on. For the audio, since I'm there, can do the same thing, import it, file, import. We're going to look for some audio images. And you see the organizing here in all your hard drive. I would say getting a separate hard drive for video and videos you make and photographs you take is really the way to go. Then you can work with it on your laptop. You can upload it to Dropbox. You can move it around your phone that way. But here we have the computer images that I saved and audio here in Audio Blocks. Audio Blocks is one service. You can always look up online free domain audio, free domain images, and those you can use. So we'll pick one, keeping it cool. And so you bring us in here into our project, things we can use. So from that point, after it's been imported, you can bring in that audio, bring it to the timeline, and see if it plays. All right, menacing. I love it. This is going to be a great pastry video. And see some of the other assets that we have brought in to work with down here. You can see a lot of different photos. Wasn't sure which ones I'd use. So in this case, I just downloaded a lot of things that related to the subject and kind of went from there. Then we try to import some video. Back to import. Get out of our audio. Look in here for some video that we have from previous project. And this way, even if it's a phone video, bringing it in, you can bring all of it in and import it at once, and then cut and bring it into the timeline. Lots of stuff. The little logo files, all the cell phone things. So all those are assets. When we say audio, video, photos, all assets. Here's some more of the summit. Right there was the Zoom audio file that we talked about. And let's bring in the trailer that we had. Shout out to Pastry magazine. They really put this together nicely at a time when we needed some cool content to share. So you see there's the audio. We can do this for the purposes of this. Kind of lock the video. And then I'm going to right click and delete the audio. So we don't need that at the moment. We have our other sound trick that we just brought in. And then that's the soundtrack. We're going to mute that for the moment. So here we have the video. Let's say we just wanted to grab and recut this into a shorter video. So we would open that up. Now we can see where we're going to cut. We're going to go up to right where we see Chef Melissa. And then using the space bar in most editors allows you to start and stop. And then left arrow, right arrow allows you to do what we call scrub through it. So we just had a fast pacing where that intro actually stops right there. Sort of on the transition, which we'll mention in a moment. I'm going to make it really big for this clip. And I'm going to go frame by frame. So no chef in this one. This is clean. And then that's where the transition. We just wanted to grab that intro. So we're going to go through there where that line is. It's the perfect spot. Expand it even just a little more. And then go in and cut. So here are some of the tools. See the razor tool. And there are shortcuts on the keyboard for all of that. So when you're learning your editor, find and download a file of the shortcuts. Shortcut in Adobe is C. So rather than going every time back to the razor blade, just click C, and then you can go there. And then we need to get back to our pointer tool, and we just backspace and it's gone. Now we just have that part. And we put the music back in. We created our own first step. And then if we brought in another image here, just still like we talked about, and there the dessert comes in. Go to Effect Controls. The scale too big. Nice high quality photo. See, having that high quality photo and downscaling it, the quality just gets better. Having that small image like we had with the Buckingham fountain, that makes the image blurry when you get bigger. And then the last thing we'll look at is the transition between the two. So I can move things up and down in the timeline. So literally right up against each other. And they just click into place. I can move it away. And you can set it up so it clicks into place. And you can zoom in and see that, there's no space. And look at it. And mute the sound for this. So that transition, we want to go to an effects menu. Effects controls is after we have the effect. But to put in the effect, we're going to look for our effects menu. There's our source. Here's the effects controls. And we can look. So some presets, some looks for the overall finishing filters, some audio effects, some audio transitions. So effects directly manipulate the clip, and transitions what's in between. And the same thing on the video. Here's the video effects. blur, distort, a lot of color correction, and then the video transitions, which we're looking for. And we can look for something real simple, like a white. And let's do something kind of pronounced so we can see. You can do that. You can drag it right here if you want to. Now we can see there's the effect down there. It's not necessarily in the parameters that we want. It's too long, right? It's kind of cool, but maybe we want it just a little bit shorter. So then we'll go into the effects controls for that effect. And you see that's exactly the A-B A clip. And it's asking us to set the duration. We wanted to make it a little shorter. So let's bring it down to 0:40. Okay, you see it's adjusted in the timeline. And we run through. And then that could fade into another transition with you as a chef speaking on what everyone just saw. Take the mute off. Catch that one more time. So basically that is a super high level view of how some of the moving parts that we've asked you to create can be turned around so we can edit them. I know we'll have some questions. The call this week, we can really go over any of those things. But in general, you see it's possible. It wasn't that difficult. And so you can do it. We're going to kind of jump back in, have another sip of coffee, talk about our virtual classes, my promotion, your promotion, what you're going to do. Went through our bonus video editing, and then kind of jump back in on value added. Thanks for bearing with me during the little technical issues. Luckily, we didn't have any further ones. So value added, being able to shoot a video while you do the food styling, being able to do the photography, that could be value added. But often value added, something simpler, something that's just bundled with your services. There's a difference between selling the service and bundling the service. Sometimes we purchase things that we don't really know are all included. We just know that the overall experience is better. So there's endless ways to add value on the services. There's a difference between the price and then that cost of producing. Well, that's the initial value. But what we add to it on top of all that, well, that's the added value. So some things we can do in business to create the value: educating, marketing, the background of your chef's story, educating, marketing, the quality of the products and that story, upgrading packaging, customizing for gifts. That's been popular with online purchases. Add a little birthday card, add an anniversary card, add a message on the invoice. Sometimes it's just a simple touch. Free delivery, free tax, additional product, upgrade. These are all cost savings, value adds. But be careful. Don't go for the promotion of free product upgrade if you really can't afford that. It's something that should be included on your side and on your P&L. To make sure that it works in the business. And it kind of goes without saying, but often that gets overlooked and you kind of give away the farm. And then some things you work for other people and you want to make sure that you can add some value. Creating new revenue streams for the business always works. And then ask for the raise right after that. But seriously, the differentiator, being able to say, hey, I'm adding this value with this program and a bread program and an off-property program is important. Document and share departmental stories with the business and help them tell their story on public relations and marketing. And then this is part of the job. We do it all the time, but it's a marketable skill to be able to develop people in the business and make sure that we document that process so we can do it again and again and again. That's most notable when you can bring someone from a low level to almost take your position. And taking your position, I think people have a feeling that then what am I going to do? But if you can add value to your workplace by bringing someone along, I don't know any business owner or pastry chef at a high level who wouldn't love someone to come along and take their position if that meant they could move on and take on much more. And so we shouldn't be afraid of that. Give your best to everybody all the time, to your customers, to your clients, to your employers, and it will come back to you. I know it's easy to get a little bit, a little bit trepidatious when things in the economy seem tight, or we don't, it's very hard for us to get this job. But if you've been at a place 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and you do have some aspirations, and we know what our why is, and we want to get to that other part of the circles, we really need to share on that level. And so these ways to add value is a good way. And you can say when you talk to clients, when you go interview for jobs, hey, I've added a lot of value. I do things that other pastry chefs don't do to get that value. And so it's important to continually report on it so that you don't do all this in quiet. You want to share that with your clients, share that with your customers, and share that with all the people that are in your workspace. Not obnoxiously, but or maybe a little obnoxiously if they just won't listen. But in a lot of ways, if we don't tell the story, you could be doing all these great things, and that credit could go elsewhere. So that's real talk. And commerce, art of transaction. For the most part, we all know we're selling stuff. And like we said, some people are more comfortable than others. But by following what that philosophy of ninja promotion is, we could focus on getting to know our customers, building relationships, and learning to listen. That's very important. If that's not clear, or maybe it's clear, but we really don't know how, we really have to like our customer, or really like the fact that we can serve them. And sometimes, if we're in a situation where we just don't like a job we picked up, or a client that we have, first off, we all know the difference between like a client and a customer. A client is someone who comes back for your goods and services again and again and again and again, and speaks directly to a relationship. A customer is someone that comes and buys some stuff from you. It's great to convert customers to clients. Sometimes we don't like customers, so we don't want to convert them to clients. And I will be the first to say, in any business, there's some customers you probably don't want to have, that don't serve the business well. So you have to think, am I just doing this for a sale? Or am I doing this to add value, create a service, improve someone's life, give them happiness, and make them a client someday? So if there really isn't much of the former, where we're really enjoying the people that we're serving, we may want to rethink that a little bit. And you're really making room for those customers and clients that you want to have. Some things now on the homework. So got a few things. And I apologize, I saw some little typos. If you want a clean copy, I've updated them. I'm going to fire my copy editor directly after this, even if that might be me. All right. So list three services we can monetize in our business, or I would say value add, so that we can monetize, add costs to what we're doing, whether we're selling chocolates, whether we're selling cake. Maybe there's a couple ways to sell cakes. You either sell a cake and charge someone for every little thing that comes in. It's kind of, you look at the car example. You're either going to buy a car that is stripped down, bare bones, that price doesn't look too bad. But when you add the sports package, the spoiler, the air conditioning, a better radio, it adds. Or you can bundle it all together with your value-added services, and comes with the great stereo, the spoiler sports package, your choice of color. We do the same things in cake. Here's your cost for cake. I'm not going to charge you for every rose, every single thing that we add, but I know it can get out of hand. So we say, for this cost for a cake, customized cake, you get to choose all the flavor, the size within this tier of price bracket, how the layers are constructed, overall looks, and add very little at the end. Even fondant, buttercream or fondant, for me, same cost. I've already costed it out with the higher cost. So if it goes the other way, we can negotiate. But overall, they have the perception that they're going to pay one cost. They're not going to get nickel and dime for rosettes. And then you'll have a service that you really had a relationship where you sat down and you found out what they really wanted, whether it was more expensive or less expensive. This is sort of the approach. Some take home. Finalize your focus, for launching your brand, story, call to action. Get that ready, and remember, don't change. Once and execute, again according to the plan. And I'll be watching and liking and commenting. Excited to see all those go up. Take notice of the performance later. It's really good. I know on Instagram, you may want to switch to a business account if you don't have one. So it allows you to look at analytics. But there's a way to grab general analytics just by looking at what time you post and how frequently you got likes and comments, and kind of something that's successful. Do your next mini campaign and do it again like that. Things that aren't so successful, maybe rethink and don't include. Then what do you learn and continue? And then plan the next mini campaign or start your first month-long calendar. We're here at the end of September. You could easily, while you're executing this mini campaign, do the calendar for all of October. So the calendar for October could be as simple as each week on Monday, this is the topic I'm going to post on. Everybody's getting going. Here's some things about how I get ready, coffee, energy, getting ready for the week, what we're doing in our business. Every Monday, something like that, inspirational, aspirational, something. Tuesday could be a specific product from your line. So we're going to show something new, a new cake. Whatever it is, as you go through the week, every Tuesday is the same, every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you follow me. So therefore, you don't have to plan out the whole month, every post. You could, but sometimes in our business, we're grabbing things that are current. We want to document that process. So we know a week out, and we can make some adjustments. And then I think what we're all learning is to keep a camera nearby and just record and take photos, have your phone there over and over and over. We just set up a couple clips in our kitchen so we can capture video while we have like our hands in flour and chocolate, and just kind of do a shot here and there, just to capture things that later on we feel like, oh, that would have been a good post, but just didn't have the ability to pick up the phone, wash my hands, work on the food, wash my hands, pick up the phone. So we have to find some easy way, or get a friend to help with that. And then the final couple things, new ideas, the workbook activity for future expansion here is what additional stories. So we talk a lot about stories. That story content is really important, and all feeding back to your why. And then how can I use video? We had a super high level view of how to construct video, but we did a couple of cool things. So by playing around with your editor, bringing those videos in, playing around with your phone, using some of the different apps. If you have some question on what apps, I know Julie uses Snapseed a lot. It's a good app for Android. And Adobe has Rush, which is like a mini Premiere. But there are many out there. Do a little research and use some video, tell some stories. How do we educate? How do we inform with those stories? All that just building your brand and fleshing out your platform. And then new menus. All right. Outside of the comfort zone. Create two new menu items, product, service, doesn't matter, that promote our brand, add value, or solve a problem. So something that we're not doing now, that we plan to do, might be on that timeline. We've been concentrating a lot on what's going on right now with us. Last week, we kind of refreshed all of our socials to some degree. That's an ongoing process where we can kind of tweak it here and there as things change. But overall, now you have consistency on your platforms. People will bounce around, they'll be able to find you easily. Now we want to think again about that outside of our concentric circles in our plan, and bring in some activity that speaks to that. So if you wanted to open a micro roastery someday, you can be informed about other micro roasters in your area, and maybe make a dessert or something that pairs well with it, or a coffee beverage that has a dessert profile, and blast that out as a story. You don't have to say, someday I'm going to have this mini roastery, but you're saying, like, this is something that's interesting. It's part of my chef identity. It's part of something that's interesting to me, and I think you'll find it interesting. And then slowly you're adding and moving toward those goals on the outside. So awesome, guys. Yeah, hard to believe again. We've got one more week. I've saddled you with a little bit of homework. We'll do some wrap up on that, some health and wellness, some energy movement. Remember, keep visualizing every day, 5 minutes minimum, all those successes that we already had. Step into that. Capture video and photo all the time. And good luck on your launches. I think it's going to be just a great week to kind of see those things come up. All right, be well. It's great being with you today.